Hey, Psych. So, welcome back to another review lecture. We are on our third day of review. So, we're going into units 4 and 5, which are all about perception and sensation. So, meaning how we see things, how we smell, the hearing, all those things. So, like the sciencey kind of visual processes, but also the things like inattentional blindness. Remember, we watched that video with the people passing the basketball, and then the man in the gorilla suit walks in, things like that. And then consciousness. Consciousness isn't as heavily covered on the AP test, but they do every now and then like to talk about the stages of the sleep cycle and your REM, so and the REM stages. So we're going to be looking into that today. So you will open up your slides just as you have been doing, and then additionally in Google Classroom, you'll see there is an assignment. And it's very similar to last week's assignment. However, I added in a component. So I added in a self-assessment as well, which you'll be completing before you do the review FRQs. So jumping back to the slides. So hi. There's two parts. You're reviewing, and then you are going to be applying your knowledge. Before you jump into anything, please answer the do now. Again, it's the same one that we have been having, but again, I love to read it. I'm keeping this in there just in case you wanted to remind yourself when the exam is coming up and what's going to be included on that. I talked about this last lesson, but if you need a reminder, there it is. So for the first part, it's a little bit different than last time. So you're going to be reviewing again units 4 and 5, which is module 17 through 25. First, you're going to complete part 1 of the self-assessment. Then you're going to do the Quizlet, watch the videos, do the Quizlet, and then you're going to do part 2 of the self-assessment. So the self-assessment is just this added part in. So you're going to go in here, and these are all the terms that come up in this unit. What you're going to do is you are going to basically kind of see where you're at with these. So you're going to highlight the terms in these color codes. So green means you know it. So if I'm like, I know consciousness, I know what that means, I'm going to highlight that green. And you're going to look through, you're like, okay, hypnosis. I like kind of remember that, but like maybe not so well. Post-hypnotic suggestion. What if you're like, no, I totally don't know what that is? You're going to highlight that one as red. You're going to do that for all of these terms. This is a way for you to better prepare and think about which of these terms do I really need to review, because it's a better use of your time to focus on the things that you're like, I totally don't know, or I kind of know, rather than the things that you totally do know. So if you're like, I know rods and cones like the back of my hands. I know cones are for color. I know rods are for black and white, because you remember a mnemonic there, cones, color. Then don't spend a ton of time on those ones, all right? So you're going to do your self-assessment. After you self-assess, do not go into part 2. Go back to the slides, all right? You're going to go back to the slides, and there are some handy crash course videos. I was going to make my own review lecture videos. However, I think the crash course ones really just do the best job of getting into the nitty-gritty of these. So there's videos about sensation and perception, and then more a little bit about perception. Then there's ones about consciousness, and then also sleep and dreams. So do watch those. I know they're a little bit longer, 10 to 12 minutes, but they get to the meat of what you need. This is a great time for you to kind of take, even like this is your document. If you want to, like, while you're watching the video, consciousness comes up, write the definition of consciousness right on here. Or if you have a notebook, write it in there. Okay. So watch the review videos. If you're like totally confused by a term, that is what your live sessions are for when you're with me. And you guys have been doing a great job of reaching out either via email or text or coming into those live sessions and asking me questions. So thank you. After you do that, you're then going to go to the Quizlet. You guys have gotten really good at that. So you're going to go into Quizlet, wherever that may be. I have my Quizlet here, and I've assigned you modules 18, 19, 20. I skipped 21 and 17, actually. 22, 23, 24, and 25. You're going to do one review activity for each module. So you'll go into module 18. Let's say I want to do matching because I feel like that. I like matching. I don't know. And then I would do the matching game. Okay. Okay. After you do the Quizlets, you are going to go back to the self-assessment and finish part 2. It's asking you just to kind of answer these few questions to say, so like, for what terms that you kind of and didn't know, were you able to gain a better understanding of them? Either yes or no, then explain why. So if you're like, yes, I totally was, because I wrote down the definitions and then I did the review of those terms specifically. I did the flashcards like 5 times. Awesome. If you said no, then moving to question 2, if you're still unsure, what steps should you take? Maybe doing more of those review flashcards, coming to the live session, whatever it is. So you're thinking about your own thinking, metacognition there. Finally, what questions do you still have about the terms or concepts in these units? This is your opportunity. If you don't want to come to a live session, you don't want to email me, write it here. I'll give you some feedback. All right, cool. So you made it through part 1, did your self-assessment. Now you're going to move on to part 2. So this is very similar to last week because, again, you are taking this new test and it's only FRQ based. You're going to be practicing FRQ questions. So you will go back here. There are 2 FRQ questions I added in. So there is not a rubric yet, nor I think there ever will be for this test, but they did give general scoring considerations. So please do read those as you're writing your answer. You guys did a phenomenal job though with the FRQs last week. And I really think you're moving in the right direction, especially seeing that this is kind of how you're going to be doing the test. The one thing I would do is I would make sure you are trying to time yourself because, again, this is the exact timing that you will have when you take the test in a month. So please do that. So you have the 2 FRQ questions. The first one is about perception. So it has some of the terms that come up commonly there. And the second one is about consciousness. That is essentially it. Then you are done. And make sure you get it in by 11:59. All right.